Have you ever witnessed a commanding officer admit they were completely wrong about something? I watched it happen during the most embarrassing moment of Colonel Blake's 25-year career. We had this new private, Danny Walsh, who looked like he belonged in a computer lab instead of a combat zone. Skinny kid from Silicon Valley, thick glasses, spoke in technical jargon half the time. Colonel Blake took one look at him and decided he was typical millennial tech brat. This was Afghanistan, 2019. Our forward operating base relied on satellite communication for everything. Orders, intel, medical evacuations, supply drops. If we lost comms, we were completely cut off. 3 days into Danny's deployment, our entire communication system crashed. No warning, just dead silence. Every radio, every computer, every satellite link went dark simultaneously. Our communication specialist tried everything. Reset the servers, checked all the cables, even called technical support back in the States. Nothing worked. We were invisible to command. Colonel Blake was furious. "This is unacceptable. Fix it now or I'm calling an emergency extraction for the whole base." The specialist, a sergeant with 12 years experience, looked defeated. "Sir, I've tried everything I know." That's when Danny raised his hand. "Sir, permission to take a look?" The entire command post went quiet. Colonel Blake stared at this 19-year-old private who'd been in country for 3 days. "Walsh, you're infantry. You carry a rifle, not fixed computers." "With respect, sir, I worked at Google before enlisting. Specialized in network security and satellite protocols." Colonel Blake laughed. Actually laughed out loud. "Son, this isn't some college computer lab. This is military-grade equipment worth millions of dollars. You wouldn't even know where to start." Danny's face turned red, but he didn't back down. "Sir, I designed systems similar to this. Just give me 10 minutes. The answer was immediate and harsh. "Absolutely not. You're not touching anything. Report to your squad leader for regular duties." Danny left without another word. The colonel turned back to our specialist. "How long until we get outside help?" "Best case scenario, 12 hours for a technical team to fly in from Qatar. Worst case, 2 days if weather delays the flight." That meant 2 days with zero communication in hostile territory. 4 hours passed. Still no progress. The specialist was sweating, frantically trying different approaches. Other soldiers kept glancing at Danny, who was cleaning his rifle in the corner. Around midnight, I was on guard duty when I heard voices from the communication tent. Peeked inside and saw Danny with the specialist, both hunched over a laptop. Turns out the specialist had quietly asked Danny for help after the colonel went to bed. Found him studying technical manuals in his bunk, taking notes. Danny was explaining something about IP conflicts and satellite handshake protocols. Way above my head, but the specialist was nodding like it made perfect sense. 20 minutes later, every screen in the tent lit up. Radio chatter resumed. Satellite feeds came online. The system was fully operational. Next morning, Colonel Blake walked into the communication tent expecting another day of silence. Instead, he found everything working perfectly. The specialist was filing his daily report. "Sergeant Peterson, how did you fix this?" The specialist hesitated, then pointed at Danny, who was organizing cables in the corner. "Walsh figured it out last night, sir." The colonel's face went through several different expressions: confusion, disbelief, and something that might have been embarrassment. He walked over to Danny. "Explain what you found." Danny pulled out his notebook, covered in technical diagrams. The main server was assigning conflicting IP addresses to satellite nodes, created a feedback loop that crashed the entire network every time it tried to establish uplink protocols, fixed it by reconfiguring the DHCP settings and updating the routing tables. Colonel Blake stared at the notebook for a full minute. "Walsh, what exactly did you do at Google?" "Senior network engineer, sir. Specialized in satellite communication infrastructure for rural internet projects." The colonel set down the notebook and did something I'd never seen him do in 2 years of service. He extended his hand to a private. "Walsh, I owe you an apology. I made assumptions based on your age and appearance. That was unprofessional and stupid. Thank you for fixing what I prevented you from fixing earlier." Danny shook his hand. "No problem, sir. Happy to help anytime." Within a week, Danny was reassigned to our technical operations team. 6 months later, he got promoted to specialist ahead of his entire training class. Colonel Blake personally wrote his recommendation letter. Last I heard, Danny's now a warrant officer running cybersecurity for an entire division. Still wears those same thick glasses, still looks like he belongs in a computer lab. Difference is, now everyone knows he actually does.